Hi, hello everyone, greetings, peace, salams, assalamu alaikum, good evening, great evening, or if you're seeing this in the morning, then great morning or great afternoon. Anyhow, little quick update from the garden. So it's been a long weekend for me, so I haven't been tending to the garden the way I should have been, but that's to be expected. You know, I mean, life is busy and it is what it is, right? So anyway, I went out today and I'll be posting some pictures and videos as well a little later, just to give you a visual of what I'm explaining. But I went out today and we have some watermelons growing. I'm so ridiculously excited and I'm so grateful for that, because I thought that we weren't going to get any watermelons at all. These watermelons were absolutely a struggle, like such an ordeal. So I started off with the watermelons back in April, sowing the seeds, and then all of a sudden it decided to be freezing cold in April and even the beginning of May. It started to finally get warm about mid-May, and at that point I realized that those watermelon seeds that I had planted were just not going to grow. Just as I thought that, 2 of the maybe 12 seeds popped out of the soil. I started another bed for the watermelons in the middle of the garden, just so I could do it in a different location to make sure that it was going to get enough sun. And I put those 2 plants that got started into that raised bed, and I also planted a lot of different seeds. And I also had already planted in some little cups some cantaloupe, and the cantaloupe was already starting to get some flowers on it and everything, actually. So I put that in the dirt right next to the watermelon, and that's viney and going crazy. Now we don't see any cantaloupes yet. Few little balls, actually a few little balls of cantaloupe underneath some of the flowers we did see, but nothing getting big like we see the watermelon. So we actually are seeing the watermelon. We have so many different varieties. I think we got about maybe 5 varieties of watermelon, and they're all finally doing well. We have so much food planted in that yard. It's so overwhelming sometimes just to go back there. I am gardening now for the second time in my life. The first time I got a lot of assistance from one of my elders who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, and you know, she gave me so much information and so much great advice. So I was able to take that and carry that with me into this run with starting my garden in my new home. And so there are some things that I grew before, and then a lot of things that I'm growing now for the very first time. And it is definitely some trial and error here. So what I'm learning is that you win some, you lose some. Now, the one problem that I'm grateful to not be struggling with, that I hear a lot of gardeners struggle with, and I've been watching a lot of people's YouTube channels and subscribing to a lot of people's channels, I hear a lot of people struggling with all kinds of bugs eating the food. Well, what I can tell you is that the only time I really see the bugs eating my food is when I don't water efficiently. That's the only time, because then the plants start to wilter. They start to die off a little bit. They start to get a little brown, and things like this happen. And then the bugs come to clean up. Other than that, there's a certain amount of weeds, because I've been watching all these gardeners, you know, and I'm watching these gardeners who have been gardening for 10 years and better. And what thing that I have noticed is that the gardeners who don't have a whole lot of issues with bugs eating their crops are the gardeners who leave some weeds in place. So certain weeds come up naturally. Now, I'm also an herbalist, so I'm familiar with a lot of herbs and a lot of plants and a lot of medicinal reasons to consume or utilize some of these plants and herbs. But I never knew about how to use them in the garden. So I'm learning this. And one thing that grows up in the wild around probably a lot of people's garden is nettle. Plantain, I always knew plantain, and most of us know dandelion. Around my yard, there's like a buku buttload of red clover, and there's a few other herbs that I cannot remember the names of, but when I see them, I know that they're medicinal herbs. I just can't remember the names of all of them. But there's all kinds of stuff that just grows all around. So if you leave a certain amount of things around, then the bugs, when they come, they will eat those things instead of eating your crops. So I don't really have a lot of bugs. Every now and then I see somebody flying around, buzzing around, or crawling around. And if I feel the need, I might pick it off, or just take the water bottle, just gently spray it, spray the bug hard enough so that he gets off the plant. That is less than a handful of times that I've done that. And I've been gardening, this year I've been gardening. I started in like mid to late March. So, and it's now June. It's now July. It's now the end of July. And yeah, I haven't really had a bug problem, like I said, unless I'm neglecting to water properly. So also another thing that I learned was to get wood chips. So I got so many wood chips dumped. And I still don't even have a wheelbarrow. I need to purchase a wheelbarrow because that would make life a whole lot easier. People, please buy the proper tools that you need to garden when you have a lot of space to garden in, or else you will be miserable. We've had probably like all kinds of disastrous things to occur. I've built my greenhouse twice. The first time I built the greenhouse actually blew off the ground and over the fence that separates like the backyard on the side of the house from the front of the house. This fence is about maybe 6 feet tall. Yeah, so the greenhouse blew up and over this entire 6-foot fence. Okay, it's the craziest thing I didn't even know. Excuse me, I didn't even know it could happen. Now, while it's true, I learned a valuable lesson. You're supposed to put your stuff in the ground, right? I did have I had it really sturdy, and it was so heavy weight on the bottom that I didn't think it was going to happen. I had also had some cement blocks, like on the bottom of the wood frame that I had built. So I thought that was heavy enough to hold it down, but I mean, gusty winds are gusty winds. So it did, what it was supposed to do. It was windy, and the wind blew things away. So it took me a while because I was really heartbroken, but at some point I just got up the nerve and went ahead and rebuilt it. When I rebuilt it, guess what? Strong winds. We did not staple the plastic on good enough, and some of the plastic blew away. This time the frame is in the ground well. I have cement in the ground. We got the PVC piping, which, oh, that was a horrible ordeal with the PVC piping, because instead of me buying long tubes, I bought one big round 100-foot coil. And listen, don't ever do that, okay? You cannot. It is extremely hard to bend that thing to the right shape so it'll do what you need to do. I mean, this took us a ridiculous amount of time. It actually took me 2 weeks to complete the greenhouse when I redid it that second time with the PVC piping, only because of how hard it was to reshape it. Okay, so please don't use that. Okay, don't use it. In fact, if you could get somebody to help you or build it for you, like, please. This was me and my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter once, and then actually the other time my 10-year-old son helped me. So, I had my children helping me, but nonetheless, we got it up there. And now we restapled even though I need to do some more staples too. I did see a little piece of the flap of plastic blow off, and it's only because of how small the space is between the wall of the house and on the other side of between the wall of the house, the greenhouse, and then on the other side of the greenhouse and the fence. There's like this little teeny space, and it's hard to get back there to properly staple. I don't know. It wasn't really a great idea, but I think when I first thought about it, the size, the width that I wanted to make the greenhouse, everything in my mind said to make it a wide enough size so that we could really move about and have several tables and several rows in there. And we actually have not even completely finished this greenhouse in the inside yet. We still are using it. We're setting things up in there. We have plants in there. We have seeds that are sown into little cups and little containers. So things are in there growing. It's still being used. But it's just not pretty and all cutesy-wootsy yet. You know, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that as long as we have the space and we can still do what we need to do. That's fine for me. So, you know, that was a trial. And like I said, back to the wheelbarrow and the wood chips. So we got the wood chips dumped for free, which was excellent, phenomenal, because the amount of money people were charging for wood chips, I was like, that is ridiculous. Like, we'll just be going broke buying wood chips. This is enough, you know. So we used Chip Drop, which they'll, you know, you put in your zip code and whatever, and they chop in a tree and deliver the wood chips. So it was great. We got a lot of wood chips delivered that way. I'm thinking about also getting logs delivered, but I'm just not sure how huge these logs are. So I'm a little skeptical. I really need to get more information about that, because they say you need an axe if they bring the logs. So I'm like, how big are they? And do I really have the muscle to chop down these huge logs? So I have to consider all of those options and all of those different little variables there. But anyway, we started spreading the wood chips all through the garden for a couple reasons. One, to fight the weeds that were growing in between the raised beds. Now, I don't mind the weeds that are on the outskirts of the garden, like that are near the fences and things like that. But I didn't want so many weeds growing between the raised beds so we can't even walk between them. So wood chips were put all around the ground, all on the ground and all around the yard, so that it can do two things. One, nourish any of the soil it could possibly nourish. Two, fight the weeds. And actually three reasons. The third reason is that, you know, slowly it can turn into a source of compost. And we could also always use it later. And because I'll be doing the yard in a totally different format, I already started mapping it out for next year and exactly where I want things to go. I really rushed things this year with planting, so I did not thoroughly map out where things should go. I kind of just put things where I needed them to go for the moment, but then, you know, I learned the lesson with every little thing. So another thing I struggled with this year was my onions and garlic. I know that I just simply need more time for the garlic, and it's just not ready. That's just the point. It's just not ready, okay? But the onions are interesting. Some of the onions have started to push up to the top of the soil, but they're not large at all. So I'm watching a lot of these YouTubers and trying to collect some information on what exactly I need to do to get my onions to give me a larger bulb instead of looking like I still just planted the seed 3 weeks ago. So working on that. I just came in from the garden, and one thing it always does is like the pollen and stuff itches my nose really bad. It's a weird thing. Okay, so what we also experienced was our corner in the cob. Initially, I thought I had overwatered her, and that still could be the case, but I'm not sure. I thought I was gonna have to move her to shade, but I didn't have to do that because we just so happened to get some days of shade where it wasn't as sunny at all following the day that I thought that I had overwatered her and she started to droop. So I thought that she would perk back up, and then I gave her about a week, and then I gave her some fish emulsion. That's what I use for my fertilizer. That's my main source of fertilizing. And there's some other things that I have started purchasing also, but that was the main thing that I've been using. I gave her some fertilizer. She looked like she was coming back to life a little bit. We have a few cobs that looked like they were forming, but then nothing else happened. Nothing else happened. We actually just harvested one cob, and the rest of them look like they kind of just don't have anything. Excuse me. They really didn't feel like they had anything inside of them. So, oh well, win some, you lose some. We have many other corn stalks around the garden, so I'm not worried about that one. Something will give us something, and that's just how I'm going to look at that. There is one corn stalk that is so tall. This thing has got to be like 6.5 feet tall now. It's way taller than me. I'm 5'8". This thing is huge. So I'm hoping that, and I saw a lot of corn stalks, a lot of corn coming off of those stalks. So hopefully they will properly fruit and properly develop, and we will have corn from that. The strawberry patch was doing well. We have 2 strawberry patches on different sides of the garden. Both still are doing well, except for one on one side of the garden, which I did not, and this is my fault. We're going to go back to do this tomorrow, hopefully, if they have not taken the other plants. The squirrels actually dug up the entire plant. And listen, I didn't know that the squirrels will dig up the plant. I know that they'll take your strawberries and bite them and then throw the strawberry away. I didn't know that they would dig up the whole plant. So I'm learning. I'm learning a lot of lessons in this, but I'm so patient and I'm so diligent. We're not going to stop. So it is what it is. We're going to live and we're going to learn. There's going to be a lot of trial and error, but we're going to keep this thing going. More videos and pictures to come, and I'm going to upload some of the pictures and videos that I had from the beginning of this whole gardening phase for 2020 ever since March. So I have videos and pictures going on way back then. I'm going to upload all these videos so you guys can see the transformation. I mean, really, even if I don't get what my goal is, my goal was to harvest 6 months worth of each thing. Even if I don't reach my goal, we still learned a lot this year, and I believe that we could reach our goal next year. So, and the season's not over. We still got a lot to do. We still got a lot of time. I'm going to use every single day to grow as much food as we can here. So, we don't have, you know, an acre or anything like that. We live in a city. And we have a 7,000 square, 70,000, wait, 70,000 square foot house, property, okay? So it's not like mega huge, but we've got a lot of space. I'm just going to utilize it the best that I can. And hopefully we will be looking at some type of good harvest this year. You know, I'm hopeful. So stay tuned for the pictures and all of the we're gonna go predate. We're predating. We're gonna post the predated pictures and videos. So stay tuned. Peace.